Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the world of V-Gaming Junkie News. Indy Dross was freezed off by the cold void of space. There's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It's all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep in all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. I doubt anyone's surprised to learn that The Last of Us 2 has once again swept through multiple awards and another totally not ledge to the Industry Game Awards show. What might give you pause, however, is that Ghost of Tsushima actually won a Player's Choice Award. Accusations of hacking and foul play have naturally sprung up, even though I've actually seen people talking about stuffing the ballot for The Last of Us 2 with suck puppet accounts, but I think that speaks volumes. The Last of Us 2 is extremely divisive among fans, but in the games media, they're pretty much in lockstep behind Sony. This is why you should never rely on other reviewers, and yes, I'm including myself because I've done reviews before to decide your purchases. If you think you'll enjoy a game others don't, then that's your business, as is not liking a game that everyone else seems to think is the second coming. Decide for yourself. The games media is honestly far too corrupt, and even independents can't decide for you because people don't have the same tastes. So Microsoft has reiterated that Halo Infinite won't have loot boxes of any kind, only microtransaction cosmetics. They also made it clear that you can actually earn cosmetics in-game too. While that may sound like a case of, well, at least you're not nearly as bad as others, I think the fact that the multiplayer component is free to play definitely changes things. Personally, I feel that being free to play justifies microtransactions and even to some extent loot boxes if they're not forced on you too aggressively. As long as the game can be potentially enjoyed for free, I don't see anything wrong with devs including optional payments over it to keep the lights on. I'm sure most people have a problem with stacking payments over an already $60 or now $70 game. As if the initial sale wasn't already enough, given these companies rake in profits all the time, it just seems a little dishonest to me. Kudos to Microsoft though, this is the right way to do it. So the Take-Two CEO predicts photorealistic games will become the norm, and honestly it's not hard to see why. About as long as games have existed, they've been trying to look realistic. There are PS1 and N64 games with clearly realistic styles, and Gran Turismo 4 is described as photorealistic on the PS2. As fidelity improves, it'll obviously get closer to that standard. That being said though, we shouldn't strive to all be photorealistic. There's still very much a place for stylistic games. Great example is Dragon Ball FighterZ that deliberately has 24 frame per second animations and simplistic shading to resemble the anime as much as it possibly can. And of course there's games like Wind Waker 2, so in that regard I don't think he's entirely right. It won't be the end-all be-all, and it's always been attempted to the best of hardware at the time. Granted, ray tracing becoming the norm will probably make that dream a bit easier to fulfill. I will say this though, movies based on video games make even less sense over time. I could see it when video games were handfuls of pixels and the ability to tell a story was very limited, but nowadays games can look almost as good as movies with the added benefit of actual gameplay. So Cyberpunk 2077 isn't shaping up so well with bugs and glitches. However, it's especially bad if you're the proud owner of a base PS4 system. Evidently, from what Digital Foundry has discovered, the performance really isn't good on that system. It tends to stick around 720p and the frame rate will hover in the 20s, reaching as low as 16 at times. People have voiced disappointment in the game facing delays, but maybe it needed to be delayed even longer. In a way, the online space making patching easy is a detriment because it means releasing a game in a bad shape is seen as not a big deal by companies since they can just fix it later. Unfortunately for them, first impressions are everything. I love using No Man's Sky as the go-to, but I doubt Fallout 76 will ever shake off its terrible reputation either. Point is, make sure it works the first time. So it would seem the one-winged angel Sephiroth will be surprise backstabbing his way into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. While this is no doubt good news for Final Fantasy fans, he's been used in a vicious meme against Nintendo lately. Not too long back, Nintendo's lawyers sent a cease and desist to a Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament over use of the online mod called Slippy. Due to the pandemic, allowing people to play online would have been their way of getting around it. However, Nintendo claims this is illegally acquired and that they're standing against piracy. Personally, I don't see how Nintendo can determine that. After all, they could have just as easily ripped the contents of their own game discs, but this is Nintendo we're talking about. It took them forever just to decide that Let's Plays are acceptable. Some have said they had no choice because of trademark, but that excuse rings hollow. After all, game companies like Valve, Bethesda, and even Nintendo's old rival Sega have been far more permissive towards fan modifications, and the recent Sonic Mania was made by hackers that Sega hired. I love Nintendo's games, they have a classic charm, but their management needs to understand that not everything from the old days is better. If you don't release your iron grip and contempt towards your own fans, I don't think any number of anniversary ports at full price will save you from slipping into obscurity before too long, and I say this as someone who really loves Nintendo's games. Finally, Ubisoft is bribing people to play their game. Did I catch your attention? Find out now how you can make $10, well, in store credit. Playing their battle royale called Hyperscape before the 17th will net you a $10 coupon to use in Ubisoft store. Given the game itself is free, that's essentially $10 of credit you're getting without any strings attached. Now, obviously they're not just doing this out of the kindness of their heart, they're hoping that once you try the game you'll be hooked and want to keep playing. This probably won't be enough to dethrone Fortnite, but we'll see how well it works out for them on its own merits. And welcome to your weekly allotment of release dates courtesy of Games Radar. There actually aren't many releases at all in this upcoming week. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it certainly makes this session a lot shorter. The 15th just sees Collection of Saga, Final Fantasy Legend for Switch, and GTA Online, the Cayo Perico Heist for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. The 16th just sees MXGP 2020 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and PUBG Season 10 for PC. Finally, PUBG Season 10 also releases for the PS4 and Xbox One on the 17th. This week's freebies come in the form of Tyranny Gold Edition and Pillars of Eternity Definitive Edition. As always, this is up through Thursday on the Epic Store. And as always, this rounds out this week's News Week. I hope you enjoyed it and were well enough informed. As always, I Let's Play every single day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., live stream Mondays and Fridays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m., and these news programs are Sundays at 6 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. You can always subscribe and BFG that bell icon if you don't want to worry about keeping track of the time zones. A like is always appreciated for the algorithms, but I just hope you genuinely enjoyed it. That is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like cyberpunking, and I'll see you next time. Now go out there and capitalize on life. Peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next Sunday.